Hi, everyone. Welcome to Before the Fork, the 28-day experience. I am Robin Shea, and this is day 2 evening post. So I hope everyone has had an opportunity to look over the Grocery Store 101 video that I posted up on the page. Marjorie commented under that, "Hi, Dina," that I made that video 2 years ago. And it was raining really hard here in Bowling Green today, and I went to the grocery store and I was going to record the video, and the grocery store was packed with people. It just wasn't an ideal situation. And I thought, I wonder if that video that I made a while back, I wonder if the principles, if everything is still on point. So I went and I watched it, and I'm like, heck yeah, nothing's changed. That's exactly as I felt then. I feel exactly the same today. So that video is very representative of my feelings towards clean eating, toward going to the grocery store, what you should look for. It's a little lengthy. It's 45 minutes, and I do apologize for that. I want to go over with you tonight two things that we touched on this morning. And the headline of this video is "Preparation Will Save Your Bacon." So I do want to talk about preparation and where you really have to step forward and make the effort to understand what you're moving into. If you're going to be doing the 80-20 lifestyle through this next 28 days or 27 days now, then you need to understand what that's going to look like in your life. So you have everything that I have to teach you how to live the 80-20 lifestyle. Marjorie had mentioned also about the book. And so what she did and what I have done is, this is my binder, my folder, and it's kind of my Bible. So I had this put together before I ever completed Before the Fork. So I created the handouts, printed everything off, and I made a binder. You have 2 locations, as we talked about earlier, to create your own binder. You have beforethefork.com, all of those downloads, and then you also have the shared PDF folder in Dropbox and all of those downloads. Get all of them printed out, group together the 80-20 nutrition ones, and you'll be able to recognize what the 80-20 nutrition ones are. Group together the happiness ladder, everything that goes into phase 1, and just kind of make your segments based on the book. So it'll take a little bit of referencing and cross-referencing. But guys, all of this is groundwork. Hi, Brent. Hi, Kim. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Dina. I'm so glad to have y'all here. So yes, I'm asking you to be proactive. I'm asking you to step forward and take responsibility for understanding what the printouts mean, where they go, how they're utilized. Know your boundaries. There's also another place on my website. If you go to robinshea.com. Oh, phooey, I don't have my phone in here. If you go to robinshea.com, let's see if I can come over here and do this. And I want to tell you exactly what button to push on. Okay, robinshea.com, and at the top, it'll say 80-20 lifestyle system. And if you click on the 80-20 lifestyle system, it's going to take you to a page. I'm sorry I'm talking so slow. I didn't realize I had a pop-up on this page. With some more downloadables, some more things that you can print off. The 250, 250, 1, 2, 3 magic. Now there's another link here. Okay. On the 80-20 lifestyle system, there's a little drop down that says Living 80-20 101. Okay, so click on Living 80-20 101, and there's there's a red bar, and it says click for your downloadable Keep It Clean flashcard that you can cut out. So these are the flashcards that I want you to print out, and you could even laminate them. Punch a little hole in the corner of them, put them on a little ring clip, like a little, you know what I'm talking about, the ones that will snap closed like that, a key ring thing, and take them to the grocery store with you so that you can always have these ready. So it goes over, kiddos walking in the house. goes over all of your nutrition, your rapid weight loss, all of the guidelines, the whole grains, the water, everything that you need to effectively grocery store shop and live the 80-20 lifestyle. So you must be willing to invest the time to put these items together for yourself. This all goes back to what we talked about this morning and about learning the language. Now, another thing that I want to touch on very quickly is complicated recipes with 1,000 ingredients. Allow yourself to be a beginner. Allow yourself to take your food world, which has had no boundaries. That's a generalization. Maybe you did have some boundaries, but for the most part, and I'm in a lot of people's lives, I have a wonderful network of people around me. One common theme that runs through most of them are no nutritional parameters. So there's no boundaries around their food world. And the first thing I will have you do as your coach is I will have you take your food world and go shrink it as small as you can get it. So I'm talking eggs, chicken, fresh vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, fruit, minimal grain, but you can have grain. Just make sure it's whole grain, nothing refined, so no white grains at all. And I want you to think of recipes like sauteed spinach, pan-seared chicken breast, a side salad with oil and vinegar. Thank you, Brent. Think about the most basics, because we're doing a couple things. We're eliminating all of the artificial flavors, all the artificial ingredients that are in your food today. So that's going to do a couple things. It's going to clean up your endocrine system. So if you've struggled with endocrine related ailments, and that there's a laundry list, your endocrine system is in charge of so much of your body. So you're going to be cleaning up your endocrine system. It's not going to have to work as hard to put food where it needs to go in order to nourish your body. So that's the first thing that it's going to do. The second thing it's going to do is that when you are choosing clean, whole foods without the pollutants in them, it's going to take about 2 weeks, but your taste buds are going to come back to life. So I remember when I first took my children off of all artificial ingredients and put them back on a more whole diet, the 80-20 lifestyle, the food tasted terrible to my kids because their taste buds were so corroded with artificial flavors and sweeteners and just garbage that they truly couldn't taste food. So think about someone that might chew tobacco, someone that might smoke. They don't taste food on the same level as someone that doesn't. Now let's take that a step further and say, okay, now let's eliminate the artificial flavors that are going in your foods. And it takes about 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, a strawberry tastes like a candy bar. A grape is as sweet as they come. You can taste the earthiness of a mushroom. The flavors just, they come back to life, but you have to allow your palate that period of time to completely get all of the old pollutants that were enhancing flavors out of your system. So those are the two things that you can expect to encounter throughout this course, throughout the next 28 days. Your endocrine system is going to clean up and you're going to start tasting food on a whole nother level. So with that being said, I don't want you to overwhelm yourself with really complicated, overly involved, expensive, time-consuming recipes. I want you to get back to the simplest form of food: grilled fish, steamed vegetables, good quality cheeses. If you're going to garnish, don't buy crummy cheese, buy a good piece of cheese so it has all of the flavor in it. Just pay attention, but keep it so very simple. My diet is a very simple diet. Now, I can get complicated. I have a recipe for Go Green lasagna that will knock your socks off, but it takes me freaking 4 hours to make it. It is involved and it's not necessary. I can typically, tonight for dinner, I made coconut curry chicken with coconut whole grain rice. And it's absolutely fantastic. And it literally took me 35 minutes. And that's from beginning to it being done. Greg and I have already eaten. So don't overcomplicate your world. Start with very, very simple recipes. And if anyone has any questions about clean eating that I have not covered with you or you have not been able to find in a download, please shout out and let me know. This should not be confusing. As a matter of fact, it's so simple that is almost the most confusing thing about it, is that it's so simple. First generation foods, clean foods. The more a human touches the food, the further away it goes from being a first generation food. So 5 or 6 mini meals a day. You want to eat every 2 or 3 hours, not huge meals, just little small mini meals. You want to make sure that you're combining your proteins, your nice carbohydrates and a healthy fat at every meal. That's going to keep you satiated. They work better together. As we move through the course and toward the end, I'm going to start giving you some advanced techniques with maybe timing. We'll start talking about macro distribution, those type of things. But for now, we're keeping it as simple as possible. We don't want to skip meals. We want to have our first meal within about an hour of waking up. You always want to have snacks in the car with you. Hunger is your enemy. Remember that. Hunger is your enemy. No chemicals in your food. So if you get the 5 ingredient rule, I'm hard on that. 5 ingredient. And if you don't recognize the ingredients, go to the next brand. Somebody out there will honor what you're looking for. As a matter of fact, today when I was in the grocery store, I was looking over some familiar products, familiar brands, more of your mainstream brands. And I was very impressed how the pressure from folks like myself and others that took this crusade on 15 years ago, that's how long it's taken for the mainstream brands to say, hey, they're not budging. They're serious about this. And their message is catching on. So we better start paying attention. So I noticed that mainstream brands are starting to, as a matter of fact, there was one that even said 5 ingredients. And I thought, rock on, you're getting it. Okay, alcohol. Let's talk about alcohol. If you want to consume alcohol, obviously keep it in your 20% and keep it minimal, because not only is alcohol a complete and utter waste of calories. If you're eating your cheat meal and you're having a glass of wine, which is totally fine to do, there should be no guilt in that, but just realize that glass of wine, if it leads to 2 glasses of wine, now you're lowering your defenses and you're going to be vulnerable to maybe not feeling so great the next morning. And that's going to lead to really having to dig your feet in or dig your heels in and push you through the temptation to cheat the next morning. So really just pay special attention to your alcohol and absolutely save it for your 20%. Okay, portion sizes. This is another thing to talk about. I'm very, very portion size conscious. So the plates that I eat off of they're my brand of plates. They're Robin Shea portion control plates. I think you can still get them on Amazon. And they're my dinner plate is 9 inches. My bowl is about a 6-ounce bowl. So they're very pared down. 90% of the time I eat off a salad plate. This again is from the research that I learned from Dr. Rancic at Cornell University. And it's helpful with just our psyche, our perception. And so we want to use all the tools we have. And if paring your plate size down is a tool that works in your favor, do it. Just do it. It works with some of the triggers that we have in our mind as far as spatial size and recognition and white space on the plate. So that is a tip that my boys were raised on very, very small plates. So when someone brings out a platter, all of us are just kind of like, whoa, that's a bunch of food. So think about your portion size. Okay, any questions on lining yourself up for the clean eating and for your 80%? Okay, no questions. So I'm going to move on real quickly and talk to you about the happiness ladder. I said I was going to talk on it, or just address it a little bit more today. And the quick story that I want to tell y'all is about the morning that I spent in my hall on the floor, completely melted into a puddle and not knowing where I was going to turn. And when I released all of that resistance, and I really hope that y'all have read that story, it was such indescribable. And I described it as best I could in the book. But when that emotional weight was lifted off of my shoulder and I felt lighter, I felt connected to my desired self story. I saw the vision of where I wanted to go with my life and what I wanted to have in my home. And I went back to all of my initial values with raising my children. There was no obstacle that I could not overcome. As a matter of fact, all I could see in front of me was what needed to be done. So I didn't even see the obstacles. What before had mired me down and suffocated me and stopped me dead in my tracks, because I was choosing to view this from a higher, elevated, more connected, spiritually connected space, I didn't see the obstacles anymore. I just had a roadmap to what had to get done. So that is when I realized, and of course, then I went into the neuroscience studies of brain chemical reaction to negative and disconnected energy versus the more positive energy and the more congruent energy that's found in more pleasant thoughts, happier thoughts. And I started doing the research there, and it all made perfect sense. I had melted away all of that toxic thinking and replaced that with this higher elevation of thinking. It gave me a direct connection to source. It gave me a direct connection to my desired self, and it changed everything. So I spent so much time and I put so much emphasis in the book on the happiness ladder, because if you can learn to navigate the happiness ladder, if you can learn to view every stumble, every setback, every failure, every aggravating moment through this journey, if you can learn to frame those as a blessing, and you can learn to get a relationship with these obstacles that serves you, then this transformation is going to be tethered to those very emotions. And kind of think of it like this. Someone goes to the doctor and the doctor tells them, you need to go on a diet. You have super high cholesterol, and you're just, you're a cheeseburger away from a heart attack. And they leave and they are really resentful. They have no interest. They have no desired self-vision in front of them. They have no interest in dieting. And they go on and you can hear the cuss words coming out of them. They go on a freaking diet because their doctor said they have to. And every bite is resentful and frustrating. And they look and they covet the person that's eating what they can eat, and they're sour. I mean, you know this. You may have even been this person at some time where you're just deeply rooted in resentment. Well, yeah, you may lose the weight, but metabolically, the damage that you're doing through those emotions, because your change is tethered to those emotions, the metabolic damage that you're doing is just as bad as if you kept the weight on. So if we can learn to look at things differently, that's why I found that the 80-20 lifestyle was so incredibly successful, because in those moments, in those days that we are about to break, that we want that chocolate bar. We want that, whatever our indulgence is. We can learn to look at that and say, rather than telling ourselves, no, you can no longer eat those things, rather than going there, we can say, you know what, I do want that, and it's going to be fantastic. And you can pull out your 20% journal, and we'll talk about a 20% journal. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about that. And you can say, I'm going to write about the experience on Wednesday or whatever day you've allocated for your 20%. I'm going to go visit that in my mind right now. And you journal about it, and you paint the scene, and you say, you know, I'm going to pour that glass of wine. I'm going to light a candle. I'm going to get that piece of cheesecake out. I'm going to turn on my favorite television show. The house is going to be quiet, and I'm going to enjoy every bite of that delicious cheesecake. So you live the experience in your 20% journal, and that gives you the release to wait until your 20% is actually on the day and you're ready to enjoy it. Now that does a couple things. Again, I'm rambling, guys. There's so much I want to share with you. There's a couple things that does. First of all, it's a beautiful practice of a 10-minute pause. You've taken it, you're enjoying it on the paper, which means you're enjoying it twice. You may not be actually eating it, but you're teaching your mind how to go there and release all of those pleasurable hormones that you know you're going to feel when you're enjoying that treat, okay? Without the guilt, because we're giving guilt up. Guilt doesn't serve us at all. And then the second thing it does is you've built your 20% around a particular picture. You know, you have said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have wine. I'm going to have a dessert. I'm going to light a candle. I'm going to have a movie on. So any other 20% indulgences, and not really indulgences. So let's say 20% superfluous foods that do not belong in your clean living. They're just part of your life because they're a habit. You don't love them. You would never, ever waste your 20% on that garbage. So now your 20% indulgence starts to carve itself out. So you look at trash foods with a whole different attitude. If it doesn't fit into your 20%, the only foods you want in your 20% are the ones that memories are built around, are the ones that you can taste before you ever taste it. They're the ones that mean something to you, okay? So your sodas, your candy bars, your waxy chocolate cheap candy bars, maybe your little snack cakes, that or your honey buns, all of this trash food that just found its way into your life, but doesn't belong in your new life. So what happens is your 20% indulgent bar raises, okay? And it'll be so easy to eliminate that superfluous garbage that found its way into your life, okay? So the happiness ladder is everything. It is such a magnificent tool. The 80-20 lifestyle is such a brilliant foundation for a lifelong relationship with healthful living and indulgent living, living that nourishes your body and living that nourishes your soul. The two can and should work together. That is the only way I have been able to do it for 15 years without a wobble. My weight has varied at any time no more than 6 pounds in 15 years. It's not because I'm some superwoman. It's because I have a foundation in place that if I ever get off track, I know exactly how to get back on track. And it happens just like that. It's so deeply rooted in me now. And you'll start seeing by the end of this 28 days, the last 3 days when we're in the final phases and we start looking at what has stuck, you're going to make a list of all of this superfluous crap that you were feeding your body, and the pull that it had on you before is gone. It's totally gone. You've elevated yourself out of those habits and replaced it with new healthful habits that serve you for a lifetime. So I'm sorry that I rambled again tonight, 24 minutes. But anyway, this is something that I'm incredibly passionate about. I'm so honored to have each and every one of you on this page, going on this journey with us. I'm so open to questions, so please don't hold back your questions. If there's something that I'm not giving you, I need to know that. I need to know that you need something more. It's the only way that I can become a better teacher is by getting feedback from you. So please, there's nothing you can ask of me or of the other members of the course that is out of line. We're all here to help. We are that support system. And tomorrow morning, I do want to touch on support. I have a rule. It's the 3-strike rule. It's in the book. I live by it. It's a pretty hard rule. It took me a while to be able to draw that definitive line in front of myself, but I only do it because it serves my clients. So I'll share that with you tomorrow. Okay, you guys have a fantastic night. Don't forget to journal. Tonight is a great night to journal. I know that we're still kind of building up to this, but spend some time in your journal pages. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to be back with you, and we're going to cover some other wonderful areas and get prepared for tomorrow's our last day in phase 1. So we'll get prepared to launch into the first day of the actual lifestyle. So thank y'all for your messages. Thank you, Brent, and God bless your family as well. And I love you all, and I will talk to you tomorrow morning.